we've had a lot of success together over the years. They do a fantastic job implementing it. I've worked with a number of data tech customers and pretty much rave reviews across the board. So that's really what this is. 3CX is a phone system, and it's software based. And so if you're coming from the kind of traditional PBX or phone system world, you're very used to typically an expensive system to maintain. Oftentimes it's licensed very archaically. You have to have a license every time you want to do something. Add a phone, if you hire a new employee. It can just be very complex to manage yesterday's phone system. So really what 3CX is, it's a completely new way to build your office communication system. And it's software based. That's really what it is at its core. Software-based phone system. We've gone away from the traditional PBX, a proprietary-based machine. Now, software can be installed anywhere. So you may have a really nice facility where you have Windows or Linux environments. Perhaps you really want to move away from having a phone system in your office. You want to move to the cloud. Data Tech does a great job with that. They've got a fantastic data center where they do a lot of 3CX hosting. So we can host your 3CX system in their data center. So the only thing you need at your office are phones and an internet connection. And that's really what VoIP is, voice over IP. It's taking all of your voice calls over the internet and letting you cut the cord with the telephone company. Whether you have analog lines, maybe you have a PRI, typically moving to VoIP is going to save you, roughly 30 to 50% on your monthly phone bill, but it gives you a lot of other advantages, a VoIP system. Pretty much anywhere in the world, you have an internet connection. You, your employees, you can all be extensions on the phone system. You can work from home, you can be on the road, and I'm going to get into some of those features and show you what they look like. But it's really just a new way to build your communications platform and save money. So 3CX is, while they may not be a household name in terms of the giant phone systems out there, Avaya, Cisco, you've probably heard of those guys. 3CX is really gaining ground and has really kind of started to flip the U.S. market on its head over the last 10 years. And they've got some fantastic customers and people that really swear by the system and to be testimonials as to what 3CX has done for their company. Pepsi, parts of the Ohio State University campus, Harley Davidson, just to name a few, have really seen, hey, the move to software, moving our phone system to a software-based platform and then incorporating VoIP technology really is the wave of the future. That's the way the industry's going, and it's the way we can save money monthly as well. Not to get too in the weeds from a technical standpoint, but 3CX can be installed on a physical server, it can be virtualized, it can be hosted in a data center. So the point is flexibility. Where it's located is really up to you from a geography standpoint. You can connect to it anywhere you have an internet connection. And as I mentioned earlier, the advantage of VoIP is really cutting costs, whether it's your monthly VoIP service just for your everyday inbound and outbound calls, or even your, maybe you have branch offices, colleagues in different parts of the country, different parts of the state. Those are free calls now. When you move to a VoIP system, phone at location A, calling phone at location B goes over the internet, that's a free call. So if you do international business, you can really cut down on your telecom costs moving to VoIP. Some of these features may be relevant to some organizations. Some of you may not care about it, but I will want to kind of give you here in a few minutes a high-level overview of what some of these things do. And if you've never seen these features, you may think, there's a way we could implement this at our office and maybe kind of improve our customer service, the way our inbound call flow works, the way we kind of track interactions with our customers through CRM integration, and just give you some things to think about what would be possible when you move to a system like 3CX. 3CX does have also a built-in video conferencing solution. So if that's something that you've been thinking, this would be nice to have in our company, or maybe you have another solution where you're paying extra, a monthly service for it, this is free. It's included with the phone system. So it's really up to your management team who you give access to it. But essentially, you can allow your employees now to create video calls, whether it's internal at your organization, whether it's outside customers. You can invite people to free video calls, share your screen with them, take them on a quick tutorial of your website, all with just a few mouse clicks. So it's very simple software to use, and it's integrated into the phone system. So this has been a really popular feature here recently as 3CX is not really just a phone system. It's really a unified communications platform with a video component built in. In my opinion, this is probably one of the most important features of the phone system, are the 3CX soft phones. You can, of course, use a desk phone, and most people do. I myself use a desk phone, a Yealink phone with 3CX. That's something I forgot to mention. 3CX is a software-based phone system, but they don't make their own hardware brand of phones. There's a lot of different options to choose from, a lot of different manufacturers. That's one of the benefits of open standards technology now. It's really up to you to decide what kind of phones you like, what brand you want to settle on, what you think looks good and works well for your company. So you choose a hard phone, but you also then have the ability to use these soft phones. And I'm going to demo these in depth to give you an idea how they work. But these are free. They're unlimited. You just decide who you give them to and who you don't. But you can run these on Android, on iPhone, on Mac, and Windows, and essentially turn whatever device you're using into your extension. So when you make a call, you're showing your office caller ID. You could be at Starbucks, you turn the app on, make a call, you're going to show your office caller ID to whoever you're calling. Or you can check your voicemail, send a chat message to someone back in the office, all from your tablet, smartphone, or laptop. So these are really kind of important. And for those of you that don't have soft phones today, you probably have heard of them, probably know a little bit about what they do. So the 3CX soft phone is really a nice addition for most people. CRM integration, I think, is really important for a lot of customers these days. You may use Dynamics or Salesforce, all kinds of CRM platforms. Pretty much anything on the market can be integrated into 3CX. So when you're getting a phone call from a customer, not only will your phone ring, but you can also get a screen pop on your computer. So it's going to match the caller ID of whoever's calling you to your database. So if it's a customer, it'll pop up their record right there, so you know exactly who you're talking to before you answer the phone. If it's someone you've never spoken to before, it's going to create a blank contact record with their phone number. Then after the conversation, enter in your notes, save them to your system. So it's very easy to sort of integrate with a CRM package if you're using that today. I think the cost savings are really big in terms of not just your monthly VoIP cost, but the system itself. Data Tech can really outline, every company is going to be a little bit different in terms of how many extensions, how many users and locations you have. But the important thing to take away from 3CX is it's licensed on a simultaneous call model. And that may not sound like a lot at first, but when you understand how most phone systems you've probably seen in the past are licensed, per extension, per user, and in some case per feature, this really starts to make a lot of sense. In almost every situation, you're really going to be buying a 3CX system for a lot fewer concurrent calls than you have total number of employees at your office. So you may have a 20-person office, maybe a 50-person office, but you're very rarely are 100% of those people on the phone at any one time. So assuming you fall into that boat, you're buying a system that just really can handle your total call volume rather than total number of extensions. So the takeaway here is the system itself is going to be a lot less expensive than probably some other things you've looked at before. So with that, I don't want to bore you to death and kill you with all the details, but I would like to just show you a few of what the 3CX software looks like. So of course, when DataTech installs the system for you, whether again it's on a machine in your office or they're hosting it for you in their data center, you're going to have your choice of desk phones. I'm partial to a company called Yealink, very nice brand of phones. It works very well with 3CX, and you see they've got different phones in the lineup. And it's really just your preference. Do you want a color screen? Do you want a touch screen? A lot of different phones, and once you select one, you may have someone that wants a touch screen, maybe the CEO or the owner of the company, and then everyone else may be fine with just sort of your average everyday grayscale phone. That's not the important piece. Once you pick out the phone, that's going to connect over your internet back to your 3CX system, again, wherever it's at, data center or at your office. And then I think where your users can really get a lot of power out of the system is DataTech will load something for you, those who want it. It's called this 3CX app on your computer. So you're not going to have to load this. It's very easy. DataTech will manage it for you remotely. You, again, may have people that don't want to use this, never want to see it, and that's totally fine. The desk phone will work just like it did with any other phone system. Make calls, receive calls right from your desk. But for those of you that really want to leverage the capability, this soft phone is critical. I'm a good example. I live and work remotely from my office. Where we're located, we have a 3CX server, but I rarely am in the office. At home oftentimes, on the road. I live and kind of die by this 3CX phone. Everywhere I have an internet connection. When I'm at a hotel, I connect to Wi-Fi. If I'm in Starbucks, I use the version of this on my iPhone, and I'm really an extension of my phone system anywhere I go. So this will be installed on your computer, and then again, not to get too technical, but your users will have one of two options. This can run in what we call CTI mode, being a bridge to your desk phone. So you may still like a physical handset at your desk, but you may want to drag and drop to call transfer to someone, or you want to right click on one of your colleagues to call them. If you do that through the Softphone, it'll actually trigger the call on your desk phone when you're in CTI mode. So this is essentially just a desk phone controller, but you can also run this in Softphone mode, where this is your extension. You can connect a headset to your laptop. Now this will, you make and receive calls from this just like you would your phone. So the point is flexibility. How does your user want this to be used? Bridge to desk or as their extension itself? And then once you have this and your users understand that, this gives them so much power out of the system. You can set your status easily. These are all customizable. When I'm available, how do I want my extension to behave? You know, if you're going to call me, I'm available, I'm at my desk, it'll ring me for, say 30 seconds, and then I'll send you to my voicemail. But I could just as easily send you to another extension in my office, maybe my receptionist. I could send you out to my cell phone. If I don't answer my desk in 30 seconds, I'll send you out to my cell phone. I can have a lot of capability to, even if I want, ring my desk and my cell phone simultaneously. So no matter where I'm at, I'll get the call. But the point is, very easy for your users to set their status right from a click of a mouse. You also have something that I think is really important for organizations where customer service is a focus. This is your call history. Just like any phone system, you'll be able to filter through inbound, outbound calls. But what's really different about this is this little tab here. This is an abandoned queue call. So for those of you that don't know what a queue is, anytime, think of when you call a large company like AT&T or Verizon, and you're on hold forever. You're hearing music on hold. You're holding in their queue while they have an agent available to grab the call. 3CX can let you do that. If you have a lot of calls coming in, maybe they hit your auto attendant and they say press 1 for sales or 2 for support. You can customize how your calls are routed. And if you send people into a queue, you can customize what they're listening to while they're on hold. Could be music, could be your company announcements. It's totally customizable. And then the system will attempt to start ringing your employees. Whoever's in sales and should get those calls will start ringing. And you want to track, though, anytime a call is abandoned. So in this case, this cell phone number here from Georgia called in. It was an abandoned queue call. You can see the exclamation point here. Someone in my organization did not grab his call for whatever reason. We were all gone for the day. We were all on other calls. So I want to go back and right-click, call this person back. Once I do, though, I'll mark them as dealt with. So then anyone else in the queue with me, my colleagues, aren't going to go back and call this person again. No need to bother them again. We're just going to keep tabs on this. So it's really nice for your organization if you have a sort of customer service facing company and you want to track missed calls and follow up with people, you're able to keep tabs on that. Who was called back, who was not. And you're going to see that right from your Softphone. There's a lot of other capability here that I'm not going to run you through all the details. I want to get to the main highlight, which in my opinion is this switchboard here. This is really probably what your receptionists, your managers, your remote users will use day to day. I personally run this on a second monitor. So I simply click this little switchboard button here and it pops out a lot of information. And again, when you see this, it may look a little overwhelming and you may think, man, what if I don't want all this? It's totally fine. You never have to turn this Softphone on if you don't want to. You can just use your desk phone. But again, people that want this, pop it open on a monitor, minimize it on your laptop, and you can really get 3 main areas of information that I think can really help revolutionize how you handle your calls day to day. First and foremost, you have your active calls up here. This is permission-based. So you may have a brand new hire, a new employee, where you don't want him to be able to see your CEO and management's calls. You only want him to see his own calls or people in his group, the sales group. I'm a manager, so I can really see every call going on in the system. So right now you can see there's only 2. You've got my call here on extension 123, and then I also have a dummy extension, my secondary extension, that I use for demo purposes. But you see both of these calls, we've called into the GoToMeeting bridge here, and we've been on the phone for a little over 40 minutes. Now, if I had another colleague pick up the phone and make a call, you'd see that here. So I can see everything that's going on in my system at any one time. Who's on the phone, who's available, who's not. You can see here my extension in the list is yellow, and you see that I'm on a call. Here it is up here. You can see me on the phone. Billy, he's available. You see he's green. So if I right-click on Billy, I can call him up. Again, what mode am I in? If I'm in CTI mode and I call Billy, it triggers the call right from my desk phone. I pick up the handset, I'm talking to Billy. If I'm in Softphone mode, I'm calling Billy right from my laptop. Maybe he's busy, he's away for the day, I can leave him a voicemail, not even ring him. I can intercom him, make his phone go off hook right away. We can just start having a two-way conversation. I can even send him a chat message. 3CX has the inbuilt chat capability, so we can start, send chat messages back and forth. Again, if Billy had the app on his iPhone or his Android, doesn't matter. Any 3CX phone on any of your devices, I send you a chat message, you're going to be able to get it. So it's really nice for inter-office capability, whether Billy's physically in the same building as me or not, working from home, maybe he's in a different office on the other side of the country. As long as he is registered to this system, has an internet connection, we can communicate, we can call each other, etc. You see my colleague Norma. She's actually unavailable at the moment. You can see when you hover over her, she's on her Do Not Disturb profile. She's forwarding all calls to her voicemail. So it just lets you see what your colleagues are doing, who's available, who's not. Let's say you guys were done talking to me for the day and you want to talk to my colleague Fred. I can drag the call, take you, drop your right here down on Fred, transfer the call to you. So as a receptionist, it gives me a lot of capability to answer multiple calls, drag and drop. I could send Fred a chat message. Hey, Fred, are you available? He says he is, and then I'm done. I drop you guys right on Fred to transfer. If I right-click on my call, I could conference someone else in. I could begin recording the call. Recording is unlimited, and this is up to you as a management team. You can decide when you'll consult with Data Tech. Do you want every call on your phone system to automatically be recorded? That's fine. There's no extra fees to do that. Or you want to allow your employees to pick and choose which calls they want to record. You can do that here right through the Softphone. Jenny, you see my colleague Jenny, extension 116. She just now made a call. You see here, Jenny's down here. She's yellow because she's on the phone right now. Now, I'm not a manager of Jenny. So when I right-click on Jenny, you can see not much happens. I could, if I needed to, transfer her call or create a conference call, but I could not do these three features. So I'm a manager of my dummy extension here. So as an example, I come over here, I right-click on that extension. Now I can have really some real call control over this. So as a manager, I could barge into this call. I see a new employee of mine talking to a new customer. I may just want to barge in, see, kind of talk and make it a three-way conference. Or I want to listen in. Neither of them will know I'm there. I won't need to mute myself. I'm just on listen mode. Or I can whisper. So in this case, this is a really nice feature a lot of our customers like, because you may want to talk to your employee, help them, coach them through a conversation, but the outside caller will not hear you, just your internal employee. So that's what this whisper capability is. So you may have seen these features before. Your current phone system may do that today, but in many cases, you're paying extra for this. They're licensed features in just about every system on the market. With 3CX, these are all included, no extra charge. You just decide who uses them, who doesn't, but there's no licensing fees for this. Last thing to show you is if you do use call queues, a lot of our customers really use queues day to day. They have multiple queues in many cases. Sales, support, customer service. I don't really use queues. I just have a sample one. I call it Q1 here. These can be called anything you want, and you have multiple tabs across here. Sales, support. So you can click on your individual queues. You can see which of your agents are in the queue. So you see here, me and Steve, we're logged in today. But when I go home for the day, I can log out. So your managers can see quickly who's in, who's out, how many calls each agent has answered or abandoned. So if this is a real-world queue, and I was using this day to day, and you saw here that me and Steve had answered 0 calls for the day, now that's a problem. You're probably going to come have a conversation with me and Steve. You can also see how many calls we abandoned. Calls came into the queue. It was our turn to get the call. We didn't answer for whatever reason. That's an abandoned call. So you're going to want to kind of see these metrics. What are each of your agents doing? How much total time are they spending on the phone answering, receiving calls? When they last logged in or logged out? If my lunch break is 12 to 1 and you see me, I logged in at 3:25, it's a little bit of a problem. I've got a 2.5 hour overage over lunch. So you can kind of see all those stats at your fingertips right from this Softphone. Your queue departments, your extension statistics, and then your active calls on the system. So again, this may be a little more than most people care about, but I wanted you to get a good feel for what the Softphone can do, how you can leverage it, how DataTech can help you customize this, and you maybe kind of change the way your call flow works today. You may be a company where every time someone calls you, you always want the receptionist to answer every call, and that's fine. You can do that, but with a queue, you can easily send your calls into this and have multiple people available to answer those calls, so you're always getting someone on the phone, whereas if your receptionist is on the phone with someone, you know, that person may call in and they may have to go to voicemail, or you may have them on hold for 5 minutes before your receptionist is available. The point is, this system is very customizable, and you can really kind of change the way your call flow works with just a little consulting with DataTech and routing. And then once you decide how the calls will be handled, then you can put all these features right here at your colleagues and employees' fingertips through this Softphone application. With that, if you guys have any questions, feel free. The team at DataTech are monitoring the questions bar. Feel free to fire away. I know I'm covering a lot of ground, so if there's anything that doesn't make sense or you'd like to know more about, feel free to stop me. But I do want to show you quickly what we call the reporter, because then you also, as a manager, I'm sure you want to know kind of a little more detail on what's going on with your system, your missed calls, how productive your employees are. 3CX has a reporter. What I'm showing you now is it's a previous version. It was web-based. You now no longer have to do this. You don't have to log into this. You can actually program the system, or DataTech will program the system for you to email these reports to you. You know, every Monday morning you want this report. Every Friday night you want this report. But in the old days, this just for the purposes of the demo, I want to show you the types of reports the system can generate. Just a couple examples to kind of get your wheels turning. The call logs report. This is I like to use this example. You may have a customer call you and say, you know, I called you guys 15 times last week and no one answered the phone. Or I talked to so-and-so and they're pretty rude to me. So you may want to run this report over a period of time, and on that person's phone number, you just run it on a caller ID basis, and the system then will kind of show you how many times that person called in, where the call went on your phone system. So as in this example, you see here, it came into extension 809 and then was transferred to extension 503. You can see if the call was answered, it was not answered. And then if you record your calls, again, this is up to you. These calls were not recorded, but if they were, you would see a little file over here, a little play file. I could click on that. Again, a manager, I have management rights, and I could listen to that call recording. You know, was my employee rude to this person? Or did we, you know, if a call was recorded, obviously someone answered it. How do we handle it? So the point is, you can really get a lot of statistics on outbound callers coming into your system. You can also run reports on your internal extensions. So, you know, extension 101, extension 501. Over a period of time, you click on your report, and you can really just see, you see here, me and Chris. Those are the two extensions I ran a report on. How many calls each one of us answered that came into the system, how many we did not answer, and then on the outbound side, how many calls did we make that were answered, did we not make? So you see here, Chris was way more productive than me. He made over 1,200 calls. I only made 6. And then you can see total talk time. Over this period of time, Chris was on the phone for about 12 days, 22 hours and 39 minutes, compared to about an hour and a half for me. So, you know, he killed me on talk time. Then you could get into your call center reports. And again, there's a lot of data here. A lot of this probably isn't relevant to your day-to-day operation. But the point is, you can get a lot of metrics, your busiest time of the day, when we're missing the most calls in our support queue, when we are, you know, SLA, how many calls are holding over a certain period of time. If you want people to be on hold 2 minutes or less when they call you, you want to see how many times that was breached, how many calls went over 2 minutes or longer. So a lot of statistics that you may not have in your current system are going to be available for you here right through 3CX. And some will be relevant, some may not be, but the key is no extra charge for it. You just tell DataTech what you care about, what you don't, and then they'll configure it to your preference. So it really can, I would say, enhance the visibility that you may not have today with your current phone system. So with that, guys, I know I may have went a little long. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Mike. Let me know if we have any questions coming in and any last-minute things you wanted to cover. But I just wanted to thank you all again for your time, and hopefully this gave you a little overview as to what a VoIP system can do and how easy it is to use with a little bit of training.
All right, thanks, Ben. I'm going to take over the controls here, but if there are any any questions right now, feel free to type them into the chat. I believe there was some, when you registered, some people indicated what they'd like to learn, and I think we pretty much covered a lot of that, some of the good features that are within 3CX. We are offering a 50% off on the setup fees for any of the attendees. I see somebody is asking, how about failover? Anybody here want to address that, or Ben, do you want to address that?
Sure, yeah, I would just say, again, kind of tooting DataTech's horn, that is one of the big advantages they have with their data center in Tampa. They do have failover capabilities to an Atlanta facility. So depending on, there's several different layers of failover. Obviously, from a server standpoint, where 3CX is installed, if you have it in your office physically on your machine, DataTech can have that program to fail over to another server if you have a server crash. They also have a failover from their data center to their Atlanta facility. Now, that's just the phone system itself. There's also another component you have to consider. That would be your internet connection. So let's say you have a major outage with your internet provider. Obviously, this is VoIP, voice over IP. All your phones are registering to 3CX, through an internet connection. So if your primary internet connection goes down, that would be a little bit of a problem. But you can program this system to have all your calls forwarded. So if your system is unreachable for whatever reason, your internet goes down, whatever, it can still fail those calls over to your destination of choice, which would probably be a cell phone for most people, could be a separate answering service, or maybe you even have a backup internet connection. Maybe you have a second DSL connection, so if your cable or fiber goes out, you can at least fail over to a DSL connection and at least handle. While DSL, I would not recommend pushing a lot of calls over it. It's perfectly adequate for 3 to 10 calls, depending on how big your pipe is. So a couple different areas to consider failover. It could be internet, could be the server, could be the data center, but either way, there's a lot of options, and DataTech can kind of help you design and sort of build your topography. What are we going to prepare for in terms of failure, and what are we going to fail over? Internet, server, etc.
Hey, Ben, there's another question come in. Hold on, I got to get back to it here. How do you compare Windows phone server versus Linux phone server as far as reliability and security is concerned?
That's a great question. 3CX has been Windows-based almost from its inception, and it has performed phenomenally well. Windows doesn't have a lot of the same issues that blue screens and what have you like it did back in the late 90s. But you still have to worry about Windows updates. So it's one of those things, DataTech has to kind of plan with you, hey, when are we going to update the system? But in terms of reliability, 3CX has, I think, roughly 50,000 installs worldwide. Those were all Windows installations until just recently. One of the latest updates from 3CX that came out was a Linux version. So there are a handful of people now that they do prefer to run the phone system on Linux, and you absolutely can. So you can go either way, Windows or Linux. But I would say most of my experience with 3CX over the years has been on Windows, and it's the top dog in the market. So as long as you really can kind of plan for when you're going to do your Windows updates, you have some of that failover capability. Maybe you install it in a virtual environment so it can fail over to a separate VM. I'm really not concerned about the reliability of Windows, but Linux is certainly an option if you feel more comfortable going that way.
All right, great. Thank you, Ben. I think that's it for the questions, and we're kind of running out of time here, but we will be reaching out to everybody, and always feel free. Our contact information is up on the screen now. If you want to reach out to us and talk to us a little bit more about our Versa Communicator services and with 3CX, we'd be more than happy to get with you and demo it and show you some of the benefits. So with that, I appreciate it. We're going to end there. Ben, thank you very much. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call or email us at sales@datatechitp.com.
Thanks so much, Mike. I appreciate the time, and thanks everyone for joining us. I enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you. Take care.